Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and I'm continuing my planner evolution walkthrough, flip through of past planners, and this video is on 2019. So I do have a small stack here. I have a Hobonichi Techo Cousin. I have a Hobonichi Weeks, and I have two Leuchtturm A5 notebooks. So kind of cutting to, I'm going to push these aside, cutting to the chase. I did not use my Hobonichi products really much at all in 2019. Let's see, getting to the monthly, I started out the year strong thinking I was going to be in here, and I added in all of the major holidays with some rose-colored days foiled stickers. And then getting into the weeklies, didn't touch them. And the dailies, what I ended up doing is thinking that I would practice some lettering. So I was using one of my bullet journals or my Leuchtturm journals at this time, but I did some hand lettering and wrote just some kind of notes of what was happening. I had the Global Lyme Alliance team. I was applying to be part of that team for the New York City Marathon. And just, yeah, so I did some hand lettering and I did some journaling, and then that faded out where I was doing hand lettering, thinking I would go back and fill in the journaling, and didn't really even do that. And that's where it kind of petered out. I have since started using this. You can see there are some pages missing that I am using this to write letters to people, and just cutting the pages out because it's beautiful paper and I don't want it to go to waste. So that was my Hobonichi my Hobonichi Cousin from 2019. The weeks, I didn't fill out the monthly, and then when it came to the weekly, I started using this to do some daily memories. So kind of like the 5-year, which I am now in 2023 is my first year in the Hobonichi 5-year, but I was in essence using this very similarly. So I was asking my son for some different memories that he had, and then writing down some of our memories. And I did that for 2.5 weeks and then stopped. And the notes pages, I wrote down some food orders, some grocery lists. My son wrote that, and that was it. So it was another try at a Hobonichi Weeks that didn't go very far, but it's a cute pattern. Now getting into my bullet journal, which was in a Leuchtturm A5, and I started this one on November 26th, and it continued through June 2nd, 2019. So this was the January spread. I used a silver gel pen to write January 2019 up here. I had these foiled icon stickers that I used for some bigger events that month. And I had my work calendar on this side and my personal calendar on this side. And here's my health information, where I looked at number of hours of sleeping, my weight. I did some averages and things like that. calories, steps, and distance. And I got all of this information from my Apple Watch. And then I did these calendars for some different habits and put a dot on the days that I hit those pieces. And so you can, one of the habits that I had was journaling with my son, and I did that, as I said, for 2.5 weeks, a little bit less than 2.5 weeks. I also had, in 2019, I had a goal to run 2,000 miles. And so I tracked that for each mile. I X'd out a box, and then I built in some different reinforcers for myself for hitting 100-mile markers. So for the first 100, I allowed myself to get some new ink. So I have on my channel commented for a while that I've been into fountain pens for many years, and this is just kind of reiterating that back in January 2019, I was getting new ink for my fountain pens. Then my next was a new pair of sneakers. I had hoped to get a running sweatshirt, but I ended up getting an Apple Watch. And I believe this was because I went to a spa day, went into a hot tub, and the hot tub melted the glue. It was so hot, it melted the glue that held the glass in for my Apple Watch. So it ended up flooding my watch, and unexpectedly I had to get a new one. So I pivoted, and the running sweatshirt that I wanted, I moved to the next 100-mile milestone, and where I was hoping to get an Apple Watch because I knew eventually I was going to need one. The battery was going and such. I picked up a Pearl Izumi running jacket. So yeah, I have information right there. Then here's an example of a weekly where I put my schedule. I put a monthly calendar, and I highlighted the days and did some notes, and then my daily running log. And here I have some stickers for the number of miles that I wrote, and I was adding in the number of miles that I ran, and I was adding in a checkbox. I had figured out the math. I needed to do roughly 3 miles a day to hit my goal, knowing that on weekends I would be doing some longer runs. Another daily, I tried doing an online shopping log to monitor my online spending and broke it down into whether it was a need, a want. And I don't know what A stood for, I'll be honest. Here's some more dailies. I did sign up for a marathon on this day. So I did this cute little foil sticker and try to write an exclamation point on it, but the pen didn't really write. But again, I'm marking my mileage and checking it off. And then what I did is on Sundays, I would go through, and here I was tracking the whole miles, any of the carryovers. So one day it might have been, for example, 3.07. I then calculated those and made sure that went into my 2,000-mile goal so that I was capturing everything. Here's another weekly. I just changed up the header and used a different script or font, I suppose. More dailies. I had some evaluations that I had to do, and here was me tracking attendance information. So were they late by less than 7 minutes, more than or equal to 7, or more than or equal to 10? The place that I worked had this perception that if they clocked into work within those first 7 minutes, it was fine. That's not late. And so it took me years to reteach people that was a payroll system feature, that if you clocked in within the first 7 minutes, it rounded down to the nearest hour, versus if you clocked in at the 8th minute, it rounded up to the next 15-minute increment, which impacted their pay, but that was actually not connected to whether or not they arrived to work on time. It's funny how people think. But more dailies. I did this little I did this page with January memories, and look at my little man. Oh my goodness. This is a picture. If you watch my weekly memory recap or weekly recap. This is at the front of my Hobonichi cousin. It's a text message with a good friend of mine that I love looking at and reminding myself of. That's myself and my friend at a company holiday party. Here's another weekly, and again, I changed up the format. I did a black Tombow and then used a white gel pen on top. I felt that that was too much work, so it's not really something that I kept up with. I had these, I think this is Coffee Monster's code too, but I had these little mini Post-it notes with a pin that I used to also mark off my mileage. We went to Houston at the end of January for my cousin's wedding, and I mentioned this in one of my videos of liking or watching the show Love is Blind on Netflix, and the season that just came out, the venue that they held the weddings at was at the same venue that my cousin got married at. So we also mapped out some different things that we wanted to do while we were in Houston, and yeah, monitoring the quarterly training compliance for the staff that I manage. Here's another dailies, and I think this was while we were in Houston, so I didn't have a ton to write in terms of task management, so I was able to kind of really be fun with this one. That's my son and my cousin. As kind of a last minute pivot, my cousin asked if my son would be the ring bearer. So thankfully we had gotten him this cute outfit for the wedding of a blazer and a bow tie and a white shirt, and he's got sneakers on. We're just not those we're not those people that my kid does not have a themed outfit for everything. So we got it at a secondhand store, but isn't my cousin beautiful? She's so beautiful. Then here's another weekly. I did a little hand lettering and some silver gel pen for first 100 miles of 2019. Another weekly. This is a Pentel Sign brush pen. Really like that color. I changed up kind of labeling the day on the side versus at the top. This was a fun weekend. My husband and I went to a local winery, and we went out to dinner, and then it was Super Bowl, which apparently I was sick. I had hoped to write the score for each of the quarters, but was not up for it. Here's some pictures of us in Houston. So this fireplace, you can actually see that on the Netflix show. And it so brought back a lot of memories for us. And this is my son at the Natural Museum of Science, and 2019, this was right before his 8th birthday. Am I doing that math right? Right before his 9th birthday. And he was reading all the signs for all of the different things. This is us at kind of a botanical place downtown. I was doing monthly migrations at this point, and what I was doing with this is going through all the daily pages, and anything that was still an open task I was placing here, so I knew to do it for the next month. Here's my February spread, and I put on the top here the meetings that were recurring meetings, so they happen every single week. And I also did at the top here things that were recurring events for us as a family or myself right up here at the top. I tried putting this little picture here for when there were birthdays. February is a big birthday month for me. Here's my health spread, and for this one, for my weight tracking, I actually did a plus and a minus. So if I lost ounces, I colored in the number of boxes that I lost from the day before. If I gained, I colored in, and if I stayed even, there was nothing. This one I had a huge gain, so instead of it being ounces, it's actually pounds. That was a bad day, I guess, but is what it is. Same trackers with calories, steps, and distance from my Apple Watch. And then I had my habits here, and I plan to mark them down here. I did apparently do some more journaling for my son in February. I wonder, is it in here? I didn't do it in here, so don't necessarily know where I did that. I also forgot about this, but I was doing StepBet at this point, and StepBet is an application where at this time, and I haven't done it for a while, but you would pay $40 to enter a StepBet, and if you hit your daily goals throughout the month, and your daily goals, they had an algorithm, they would set it based on your history and have push days versus regular days, and you'd have to hit 5 regular days a week and 2 push days a week. I might be using the wrong terms, but you would get minimally your money back and maximally more than that. So in this month, I ended up making $9.13 because the ending was $49.13. Another little cute picture of my kid. Definitely February, I went with the red and pink theme because of Valentine's Day. I also started intermittent fasting at this point. So you can see the first time that I ate was 11 o'clock a.m. And then I had some pockets throughout. I don't know why I ate at midnight or if that's an error there. And then continued going through. Here's a new ink. I didn't know what color it was, but I think this, yeah, I was gonna say it might be Pilot Iroshizuku Kirisami, but that seems too dark to be that. Could also be Noodlers. I'm not sure. And I don't know that if I wrote it down. I also got the double-sided Tombow Furunosuke pen where one side is black, one side is gray. And then I got the hard tip and soft tip. And we were in New Hampshire for this on that Saturday. Here's a weekly and then some dailies. I noted a new Micron PN pen set with all these different colors. I'm still marking my mileage that I ran. This is a beautiful picture. Don't remember where that's from, if I'm being honest, but this is when we were in San Antonio River Walk. Why did I put that here? I think I just liked the picture. But because I had gone to San Antonio for a work trip, I think the year before. But I can see something right down in here. I popped in some ephemera. Come on. Oh, here's some cute little stickers. But this was February, so it's NaNoWriMo, and I had the letters that I received. I actually kept and tucked in here from that year's NaNoWriMo. Here's more dailies. I had, a disagreement, a falling out with a friend, and we went through a really tough time, and it had to do with my return back from Houston, and I requested from a couple of people that we get a, our flight home was canceled due to an ice storm, and So we ended up having to stay in Houston longer, rebook, and fly into New York as opposed to Boston, and rent a car in New York to then drive home to Massachusetts. But my car was at the airport, and our son was 7, 8 years old. I'm not doing the math right now. And so I had reached out to a couple of people to say, hey, if my husband drops us off at this Dunkin' Donuts in this random town, can someone come pick us up so that I can get him home and he's not having to go another hour to Boston, unbury our car from the snow and ice storm, and then another hour home. And my oldest and longest friend that I reached out to never responded and claimed she didn't get the message. And it caused some tension for us. But I printed that picture out because it was a pretty nasty fight with some really unkind things said. And I did end up talking with her later about that and shared with her that that was going to shift our friendship from that point on, because she can't unsay the things that she said. So I remember putting it in there and saying, I want that picture in there to remind myself so that I can keep appropriate boundaries, which has been helpful. Getting into March, I did something a little bit different where I put the days of the month and the days of the week in the middle, and I did work on one side and home on the other. And then I had the recurring things right here. Here's my monthly migration. So I kind of combined 3 pages into 2. Here are my health stats. And I think this was step bet information. And I believe my intention was to put in white gel pen the number of participants and the profit, but I didn't end up doing that. Right here, at least I was at $5.30 profit. Here's sleep information and weight. And then I had the monthly responsibilities for the role that I held at that point. We tried doing a chore list for my son. He was looking for ways to earn some money. You can see he was super committed to that. A weekly and dailies. Again, I was doing that end of week capturing of all of the partial miles, and hopefully I can explain this the way that my brain worked it. But what I would do is I would tally up all of these, and if, for example, this was 2.47 miles, so I added the 2, I checked off all these boxes, checked off this box, and put the 2, crossed off 2 boxes on the tracker in the front, and then the 0.47 stayed as an open box until the next Sunday, and then it went to the top of that list. And so when I tallied that up and had my whole miles, I checked off all those boxes and then had the partial mile that carried over. So that's how I tracked my mileage. Here's my new Apple Watch. And I walked, right here. So I went to Miraboo. My Apple Watch died in the saltwater hot tub because it was too hot. That next day we did a Mayflower 5K, and I was very upset that I didn't have an Apple Watch to track that with in the same manner. I was able to use my phone, but it wasn't the same. I just remember being very frustrated when that happened. I had a colonoscopy prep, which when I went through this planner in preparation for this video, I'll be honest, my first thought was, oh, my last colonoscopy was in 2019, which means my next one is in spring of 2024. So I've got a colonoscopy coming up in my near future. Here's April, where I went with this really lovely kind of lavender periwinkle purple. Same kind of information with sleep and weight and all of my health things. My step bet information, the payout for this one was $9.61. And I think it was when I stopped doing step bet, I want to say I had about $300 as a payout. And so maybe it was 200. But anyway, I had this chunk of money and I closed it out, and I haven't done step bet since. And I bought with that money, I bought a running jacket from a company called Oiselle, I think is how it's pronounced. Oiselle. It's maybe I'm recalling that wrong, but anyway, I hit 400 miles on this date. Here's pictures of that spa day that I talked about. I found out on February 12th that I made it onto the Global Lyme Alliance team for the New York City Marathon in 2019. Marathon Monday, I live close to the start line of the Boston Marathon route, so I go to about the 1-ish mile mark, and my friend Jessica ran the Boston Marathon that year. So my son and I were waiting on the sidelines, and she came and just grabbed me and hugged me, and she was in tears, which I totally understand where she was at emotionally. And someone that was in the running club that I'm in was standing nearby and ended up sending me this picture after. So very, very thankful that I have that picture. So yeah, this is Marathon Monday. We had our basketball hoop added to our driveway. I had a cigar with my husband Easter Sunday. I hit 500 miles right there. I started tracking because I was running the Providence Marathon beginning of May. So I started tracking the weather just to see what it was going to be. My monthly tasks for work. This right here, I actually made a mistake. I wrote April. I'm looking through here. I wrote April and it was really May. So I just took a piece of the Leuchtturm paper from the back, cut it out and wrote May, and then glued it in. I kept with the one page of, what did I do here? I don't know what I did there with these boxes. I don't recall what those were. But schedule, the recurring things that were every week, health and fitness, added some calendars up here. I started looking at my heart rate range and the resting rate. I do, surprisingly, for me, I have a higher resting heart rate than I think I should. And I think that's because I'm an anxious person. I did an annual conference in Chicago towards the end of May, and you can see my weight did a big old jump because I am a fat kid at a conference. I live my best life. I continued monitoring the weather there for the Providence Marathon. And I did some marathon planning for bib pickup and parking, and I drove down myself for the Providence Marathon, and my husband and son drove to spectate towards the end, and I asked him to have chocolate milk for me for when I finished, so he was able to meet me at the end with chocolate milk and congratulate me. I finished in 4 hours, 5 minutes, and 54 seconds. It was rainy almost the entire time, 100% chance of rain. And so I ran with a trash bag on for the majority, and the last mile I took the trash bag off and finished without that on. And then I drove home, and it was Cinco de Mayo, so I had at my neighbor's house, went to Cinco de Mayo, and I noted right here in this little circle here that I did 26 miles. Excuse me. So then I did take, you can see, I took some time off of running, which was appropriate. And I went to the conference in Chicago. And then I did this kind of, or that was my conference planning, I suppose. But I did a silly thing at the conference, and it was, here's another step bet paper. I had some notes here that I covered up using these stickers right here, and a piece of paper. More conference planning, where I mapped out the different talks that I wanted to go to and the number in the booklet so I could look them up and get where I needed to go. Oh yeah, so the silly thing I did is, after running a marathon, you want to give your body some time to recover. But it was about 2 weeks later, I signed up to do the Soldier Field 10 miler, and I flew out, I hit 600 miles, and I started running again on, I didn't give myself much of a break at all. Yeah, I was already running. Anyway, so I flew out with my colleague on Friday evening. We had a 10:15 p.m. flight. We got to the airport, we had some cocktails, we flew in, then we didn't end up getting to the hotel until 1 o'clock in the morning, and I needed to be at Soldier Field for 7 o'clock to register for the race, which was so dumb. So I went and ran, after getting just a few hours, maybe 5 hours of sleep, I went and ran 10 miles and then went to a conference all day. Again, I live my best life at a conference, so that night we all went out. I had my very first Irish car bomb with my boss. We've got a little video of us having an Irish car bomb together. There was a fancy dinner and a social on Sunday. And then Monday, I want to say, I didn't come back until, yes. So Monday the Bruins were playing, and so we all hung out in one of my colleagues' hotel rooms, and we ordered deep dish pizza, and we played cards and had drinks in the tub with ice and just kind of had a good old time. And then Tuesday I came back, and Wednesday I went to work. So that was a busy week. I had these triangle stickers that I started using for marking my mileage. Saturday, June 1st, not only did the Bruins win, but Liverpool did as well. Apparently it wasn't 2,000. Apparently it was 1,200 miles in 2019. I thought it was more though. Anyway, I hosted a Pampered Chef party, so I started mapping out who I wanted to invite and what types of things I wanted. I can tell right here, that's my J. Urban Stormy Gray ink right there. For April, the Apple Watch has a monthly challenge, and so I did this graph right here to mark what Apple wanted me to do for the month and the trajectory of that if I were to be on track, and then kind of where I was in relation to that. And it was really fun to watch that. My husband and I were planning a trip to Denver for the summer, the end of June to beginning of July. And so I started mapping out all of that information in terms of our flight. And when we travel together, we like to do breweries, hiking, and coffee. That's our big thing, or at least it was. Now I have celiac, and so we have to find breweries that have more than just beer, which is frustrating. But we, so we plan to go to Aspen, Vail, Boulder, Breckenridge. And we were thinking about going to Wyoming, but we didn't end up making it there. And we also did not end up going to Aspen. I had to map out some changes for a management team. Here's my NaCoWriMo page and stickers. Now in here, I had some, this is, I laughed when I saw this, so I hope you laugh when you see it, but I pulled out this right here, and here's the corner stickers that I was using. So Planner Frenzy, I have a receipt, I have an envelope, another card, which probably should go in the NaCoWriMo, and then my old bank card was in there. But then I had this lovely picture of my son. So when he was really little, we set him up with Snapchat so that he could communicate with his with my mom, who lives across the country. And so he had taken this selfie and captioned it, and I don't know what he meant to write, but it definitely wasn't this. And it just was so priceless that I had to screenshot it and print it. So when I was going through this the other day, I died when I saw this, and I brought it down to my husband, who also died. And we have decided that when he has his high school graduation party and we, have pictures of him and things like that, we're definitely going to have this picture out for all his friends to see. So, dangers of technology with kids. All right, so that goes until June. And apologies if you have stuck it out this long. I appreciate you. Now we're getting into June to November. And spoiler alert, I don't know what I did for December. No clue. Can't find any planning, so I may have just mailed it in. I am noticing a trend that come the holidays, I really do a lot of shifts, and so that was an interesting pattern to observe as I'm going through this journey myself. Another great picture of my kid right there. I did this calendar. Now this Leuchtturm is a gridded, and I initially hated it, but I ended up really loving the grid versus the dot. These are all my birthdays. So again, I mentioned February is a hot month for us. There it is. I continued looking at my mileage. So yeah, I guess it was 1,200 miles. Maybe it was 2,000 and 2,000. Might have been 2,000 miles in 2020. So for 700 miles, I got Rose Colored Days tape. 800 miles, I got Hoka's. 900, I bought my Hobonichi for 2020. 1,000, a Land's End top. 1,100, Oiselle. That's how it's spelled. Oiselle. And then 1,200, I apparently didn't have anything noted. Here's my marathon training plan for New York City Marathon. So these were the number of weeks out. Nope, sorry. Blanking on what those numbers are, because that's not the number of weeks out. But I noted some kind of pieces here of, I did a 2-hour long run. I did 13.1 with my running club. We were in Colorado. We were in Plymouth, Delaware. Yeah. Oh, and here's me tracking the mileage that I did in each of my pair of shoes. I understand that's a lot, but June, I added some stickers. So this is a very different look for me, but I like how this looks. I like the orangey, yellowy color, and I like this. sleep and weight, memories, and productivity. So I do end up sticking with the productivity for a while, or having it come back in and out, where for whatever reason, if I can do 10 things a day, I feel like I've accomplished something. And then health and fitness, my responsibilities for the job that I had at that point. Here's a weekly and then dailies. And I was still tracking my mileage because I was hoping to get to that 1,200. Added in some more stickers. A weekly, and I was monitoring some vitamin D probiotic. I hit 700 miles, and I think it was Amanda Rach Lee was doing this kind of offset, write it in a marker and then with a pen outline it, but don't outline it directly. So I used that. Another weekly and dailies. And I just was, as I was flipping through, I was thinking, I don't know where one day ends and where another begins, but I am using this date field up here. I purchased Scribbles That Matter watercolor brush pens, which I still have and I still use. Here's the tape from Rose Colored Days that I ordered. And I like this tape because it actually comes perforated, and I didn't realize that at first, but I can actually see the perforation right there. So it's meant to be a header in a, I think it's an Erin Condren, and you can pull the perforation. You have this perfect little strip that can go for each column. So here's me living my best Rose Colored Days tape life. I put it on everything and ended up not liking it. Really, my packing list for Colorado. We left on Thursday, June 27th, and I noted the different things that we did. Here's some pictures. We went to this coffee shop called Portside. Here's my husband and I. Here's me mock playing a piano. We went up Mount Evans, which was honestly the most terrifying thing I think I've ever done. Here's July. Sleep and productivity, fitness and heart rate. And I actually set this one up while we were in Colorado. I continued to write down all the things that we did each day while we were there. Kind Coffee was in Estes Park, and that was my favorite coffee place. We went there a couple of days. We went there on Monday and on Tuesday. I think we were only there those 2 days. Is that accurate? Estes Park. No, we went there 3 days. There it is. So we got there Monday, and we also went to, and while we were in Estes Park, we went to the why am I blanking? Yeah, Rocky Mountain National Park. Yes. Thank goodness I have these notes. I really want to remember what this ink is. I definitely have it. I just have to. Anyway, we were there for Independence Day. We actually went and saw the Rapids versus Revolution soccer game, and the game was super delayed because there was terrible weather, but thankfully the Revs ended up winning. And then from our hotel room, we were able to see fireworks. So that was a lot of fun. I did some tracking of our hiking, not only the distance, but number of feet, but also the elevation, because we did a lot of elevation work while we were out there. Listed off the breweries, listed off the coffee shops. This is kind of a catch-all memory. Then going back to work, we did a staycation at our friend's house. This, I did an Alistair method for some tasks that I had. I I also had a workout routine that I wanted to follow. I hate burpees, so you can see I definitely went all in on that one, and I'm being super sarcastic with that. Here's another weekly, and started a running to-do list but didn't really stick with it. I was having shorter dailies, so I did some lettering at the top. I actually love the look of this with the kind of bronze color with this baby blue. But Cleaning Tracker, I used it for 1 month. And I think I was hoping to do each thing 3 times a month, or thought that it could be done 3 times a month, which is why I have 3 August, 3 September, 3 October, 3 November. So it wasn't even once a week. It was just hoping for 3 times a month. I had gotten some black Post-its, so I tried to be a little artistic and throw a black Post-it on there with some white lettering, which was to tie in this washi. I like that lettering with the blue background there, and this to me looks very nice visually. I carried that over, and this is where I really use the grid to color every other line. Here's our Delaware packing. I tried marking some of my work hours. I also really like, pardon my language, but I really like this with the darker blue and the gold lettering. I hit 900 miles right there. Here's the August challenge. I did not hit it because you can see the line that I should have been at, and I was consistently below it. Again, this is very pretty. So I carried that through for a lot of August. We did our Lady Day on, looks like Thursday, August 22nd. No, Saturday, August 24th. And for that Lady Day, we went to Block Island. I received a stencil with the honeycomb pattern, and I hit 1,000 miles, so I did a little stenciling. September, this is another that looks really pretty. I really like what I did there. I also got a stencil that had this wheel, so I used that and started marking off exercise minutes. And I believe these bigger days are all Saturdays. I was marking survivor picks for a football league, and I think I won that week or that year, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I like the lettering up top. I am a big fan of orange. I don't think I realized until much later in life that orange is one of my favorite colors. We did the Great Pumpkin Run in New Hampshire with some of our friends, and we went to Smoky Quartz Distillery after and did a tasting. Rocket Summer Concert. Here's October. I used the wheel again. The October challenge, I ended up actually getting ahead for a while, but then fell a little behind. So I don't think I hit that one. I used the line just to separate out the days because I wasn't using a full page. And I think I was trying to figure out as I was flipping through what the red was, and I think the red are things that I pulled from a prior week. I saw So You Think You Can Dance with a friend of mine and her daughter. And when I moved into, oh, here's my New York City Marathon planning page. I finished in 4 hours, 24 minutes, and 34 seconds. And I actually was pretty pleased with that. It's a really crowded course. So I remember feeling like I was doing a lot of starting and stopping, or a lot of pushing to get past somebody and then trying to get into a pace, but then coming behind someone. So I really wasn't able to get much into a groove. So I was pretty pleased with that time. I did initially beat myself up, but when I did some reflection, love all the browns. This is the Apple Challenge for November. I don't remember what it was, but I got some new mile liners. Apparently I went to a holiday light show. And Aiden and I went to Florida. And while we were in Florida, I found out that I got some additional compensation from work, so that was nice. And then Thanksgiving, and then I somewhat fall off. I did have a to-do list back here that I was keeping track of and adding to throughout the year. And then I had a pen test page, and I had a page with some extra stickers right there. And nothing really of note back here. Don't know what that is. Yeah, Denver Art Museum sticker. So those are my planners for 2019. If you made it to the end, thank you. I appreciate it. And I will be back for the next part of this to go through my 2020 planners. All right, bye.